Yama, Andrey, Verba. The subject we are bringing up is not easy, but quite interesting. I think you have heard that you might have certain moral qualities before start a yoga practice, or at least you have to be aware of spirituality and certain immaterial things that cannot be weighted on the scale still affect the reality. The lecture is not easy, because the same things can be taken differently. There are 5 instructions for Yama, referring to the recommended behavior and the positioning of a person in the society, and 5 instructions for Niyama, referring to the control of thoughts, ambitions, and desires that happen to a person. It is all important to some extent. So the difficulty of the subject lies in various perception of different meanings in yoga. Non-violence. It is not recommended to cause any sufferings to living or not living beings, well, to any creatures around you. Let's consider non-violence from different angles, such as body, energy and internal experiences or spirit. From the point of view of a body, why it's not recommended to cause sufferings to others? I think you understand that according to the law of karma, if you harm someone, sooner or later it gets back to you. It's a very pragmatic and sound judgment. From the point of view of energy, it's all the same. If any being nearby suffers and you are the reason, as per the law of karma, sooner or later it returns back, and the same energy pays a visit to you. But actually everything is way more complicated. In this world, there are some people who live at the expense of others, calm and cool, causing sufferings to other living beings and taking it as a matter of course. They play their roles. Never met them? There are beings whose life paradigm lies in living at the expense of others. They endure life to the fullest and use others to fulfill their own interests. Economically or otherwise, they are all well-to-do for some time. To my regret, they produce an illusion that the law of karma does not exist. Do you see my point? I know some people who submit others and their will. I know some people who submit others to their will and who are quite prosperous. Here's an example. You know, how come the fur coats made from mink and sable happen to be so beautiful? How come those animals possess such glossy fur skins? It happens because they use smaller creatures. They simply eat those who are weaker. The question arises, what about the law of karma? Why a mink can use many times smaller mice to have shiny fur? The mink can live at the expense of other beings' bodies as per its current karma, in its current stage of development. But sooner or later, the situation turns 180 degrees. That's a problem. So, coming back to humans, there are people who live at the expense of others and consider this state of affairs quite normal. Moreover, their self-determinations as rulers of the universe and taking others as slaves born to serve them is raised to a religion, and they guide others according to their scriptures. These people create a very serious karma. I don't recommend you to take this standpoint. Yogi's standpoint is quite contrary. Any yoga practitioner cannot afford to inflict any suffering on living beings due to moral and energy principles. It is important to some extent. Now let's talk of some historical figures and see how the yogis of the past treated each other and their disciples, Tilopa, Naropa, Marpa and Milarepa pop up first. Have you ever heard of that? No? It is a quite famous and still preserved lineage of karma kagyu. If you take an interest in the story, you get to learn absolutely surprising things, such as teacher intensifies the problems of a disciple at a certain stage. You may ask what for. Marpa compelled the disciple Milarepa to build up towers, or better say houses, big houses, multi-storied buildings. The last house had to be a 9-storied building made of stone. I believe he completed 6, and then the building was stopped. It's just cruel. Then why did Marpa cause certain problems to Milarepa in such a cruel way? He literally was like a despot. First, he pointed at one spot and asked to build up a house there. Then he changed his mind and ordered to knock down the building and erect the triangle-shaped building, in contrary to a previous round one. Half a year later, he came to check the building. It was half finished, and he said, "Who told you to erect a triangle-shaped house? It's a magic shape. Knock it down and make another one." "But you were the one who told me to do so." "What a fool, I never told you so." To cut it short, Marpa troubled his disciple badly. Finally, a wife of the teacher interfered as following was noticed. Milarepa carried stones and clay on his back. A slight wound was developed first. Then, already half of the spine turned to be a wound. So when Dogmema, Marpa's wife, noticed the wound, she scolded Marpa. "What a monster you are! You simply torture the boy." Well, the boy already reached 30 by that time. The key point is disciples' negative karma. Frankly, I doubt if it can be told openly. Anyway, a teacher helps disciples' karma to reveal itself. As with the law of karma, Milarepa couldn't suffer more than he had deserved. The cause of Milarepa's bad karma was a murder of 35 people. He killed 35 people first, and then he realized grave fatal consequences of the deed for his future life. Following the search of a teacher to change the karma, the whole story took place. Due to Marpa's wife's interference in business, the karma of Milarepa wasn't exhausted completely. Milarepa was sent by her to another teacher, accompanied with a fake letter and some relic. Since Marpa didn't finish his job of karma clearance, some hunters happened on Milarepa's way to help peel off the leftover. They met in a cave where Milarepa practiced on his own. There were no chances for the teacher and the disciple to meet up again. So those hunters, or saying in present-day terms, rocketeers, intended to rob Milarepa first, but then tortured him by throwing down to the ground many times to check how much he can endure. In that way, the leftover of Milarepa's negative karma came off with their help. Once again, making art, who is a source of suffering. Perhaps this lecture will be uploaded uncensored when it comes to the story of Marpa and Milarepa. But please, don't copy Marpa's behavior consciously. Better if you avoid this path. Thanks to his incredible high level, Marpa could treat Milarepa like that, as disciples' negative karma was converted by teacher's personal practice. Milarepa suffered a lot by carrying the stones, as Marpa had told so. он реально страдает. А почему он носит? Потому что ему сказал Марпа. И он концентрируется на Марпе. Значит, вся эта негативная энергия страдания, которая есть у человека в данную секунду, она уходит к его учителю. Но учитель в этот момент, он не телевизор смотрит, не на диване сидит, он реально занимается самосовершенством. То есть он пережигает его карму своего ученика за счет личной практики. Только в этом случае это возможно. И что вы думаете, Марпа был такой самодур, что ему это привиделось? Ничего подобного. У него был учитель Наропа, который прошел не менее тяжкие испытания своего учителя, потому что у Наропа был Телопа, а Телопа был, мягко говоря, вообще очень оригинальный дядька, который мог там по полгода, по году сидеть в медитации. Он просто сидит в медитации, занимается своими делами.
with his disciples close by asking for instructions for practice that could change their energies and karma to develop. The teacher ignored them for a long time, though once in a blue moon he could leave the meditation place to go somewhere. Here is a striking example. Once he climbed up a high tower in a city they lived in and told to the air, had there be a true follower of mine, he would jump off the tower without hesitation. And Naropa did jump down and got broken. Understand that you find it all absurd, and you question yourself, what kind of yoga we're talking about here? Actually, it's not yet yoga. We are talking of karmic limitations of a disciple to be cleared away first, as they put obstacles on the way of development. So, the key point is following. With the flow of life, a human gets some energetic problems. Unless the problems are solved, the human is not capable of practicing yoga. Some advanced masters can cause difficulties to their disciples, as the masters are aware of the law of karma, and they also see certain karmic debts of followers, though they never push or press. Marpa didn't force Milarepa to carry stones, but he promised the teaching if he built up a house. In other words, there is a relationship based on agreement. You have to gain an understanding of the law, since a negative karma influences on a physical body and consciousness. Bad karma doesn't allow a person to develop. Milarepa's accumulation of bad karma was the result of murders. Anyway, he wasn't a complete fool, and he didn't mean to kill. Let me tell you this story in 2 words. His mother forced him to take revenge on relatives. She told him to learn black magic and pay back the offenders. The word of mother is considered to be the law. So he got trained at her desire and used his new knowledge to harm people and bring sufferings to others. Sufferings of those people were put on Milarepa's karmic account. There was nothing he could do about it. To get rid of that debt, he started looking for a teacher able to help him. Marpa favored him to get through transformation. I watch those who engage in yoga with some karmic baggage. Obviously, it holds them back by means of injuries or something like that. In fact, there is no way to develop. Yoga practice is a challenge if you have some energetic problems. Even though you haven't killed anyone, thank God your karma is so good in this life. I can almost guarantee that each of you has some problem. So, you can choose to either make serious efforts or do a pop yoga with fancy poses and a bit of pranayama. There is no evolution without body and energy transformation. Milarepa's appearance was essential for the civilization, as his heritage is of outstanding importance. Many future generations will follow Milarepa's example on the way of self-development. Karmic debt does not depend on actions only, but it is up to the result the action leads to for all involved people. As a rule, a murder turns to be a terrible karma. But Milarepa's case differs as he managed to change his energy during the same incarnation. His energy change led to transformation of all karmically connected with him people. So it was bearable to some extent. Anyway, I do not recommend you to knowingly kill even an insect, as it comes as an intervention in divine providence, speaking in terms of Christians. Any insect has a specific prerogative, be it eating a special kind of grass or anything else. If you kill an insect or any other living creatures, you take a role of creator upon yourself, although you hadn't created that being. It's an interfering in someone's game. It's like giving footballs to all players on the field. 22 balls. Why should they choose just one? Let's make all of them happy in their way. If someone still plays ball, he needs that experience to conclude whether it's worthy or not.
Вообще этот закон, эта тема
Ahimsa, non-violence, is a hard nut to crack, as it can be considered from many different angles. Let's take Jainism, an Indian religion that interprets a non-violence concept beyond common sense. Jains cover their faces with masks to protect from inhaling beings. They sweep the floor before stepping, not to tread anyone. Water has to be filtered, not to swallow any bacteria, etc. From that angle, the whole life is about avoidance. There is also a reverse side of the concept. At times, neglect is fraught with more serious consequences than action. If you keep on practicing yoga, perhaps you'll come across ambiguity of the law of karma in the universe. I use word universe purposely, as the term God is a cut-off Christian version. There are all sorts of gods, but the law of karma in universal scale differs from commonly used on our planet. Practicing yoga, you will meet various aspects of good and bad on the planet. Surely, one should think before doing. Based on experience, I can ensure that state of mind is rarely clear while making decisions. Vagueness of mind may be present at problem solving. That's why a wholesome approach is recommended to make decisions. Consult a qualified person and read related literature. Then chances to make a mistake are fewer, and the consequences of the deed is minimized. Decisions based on your own opinion may bring difficulties in your life. The key point is sticking to wholesomeness when you make a decision. I know it from my personal experience. Emotional reactions to a situation stand on the way of clear vision of the state of affairs and your adequate response to it. Wholesomeness supports you in that case. At the initial stage, a good decision is not obvious. It comes with experience. A couple of correct decisions contribute to your experience, and they make sure you'll automatically act correctly when you find yourself in a similar situation. For example, you noticed that hedgehogs are run over nighttime. So you made a decision to drive daytime only, and the next time you won't drive at night. Then hedgehogs will be run over by other cars, but it's your choice.
Значит, ежики будут свою жизнь заканчивать под другими колесами. Следующее — правдивость.
A second principle of Yama is truthfulness. Truthfulness is not only honesty with others, like telling truth when you are questioned by authority, but honesty with yourself. Honesty is also an important quality to some extent. The energy-wise problem lies within distortion of the reality when someone produces illusions. An everyday example: a husband comes back home late night and he's questioned by his wife. Honey, where have you been? What's the common answer? He doesn't tell about a time off with friends drinking beer, but as a rule, he lies that he had to stay behind at work.
Бытовая ситуация, которая наверняка в современности происходит часто. Муж приходит.
If you lie systematically, you produce illusions for others. In the long run, you start making mistakes yourself, as the insubstantial energy of lies does not allow you to interpret the reality correctly, as if you put on a pair of spectacles. That's how misinterpretation of actual facts happens, and it leads to the conflict with the society, as your vision differs from others.
А представьте, что человек надел на себе очки, которые его изменяют реальность. Что будет, как вы думаете?
That's the easiest way to explain why you'd better avoid lies from an energetic point of view. Lies make you suffer.
Получается, что люди будут смотреть на какое-то явление одним образом.
There is a concept of a big lie in politics. Bigger you lie, easier audience buys it. But remember that it gets back to the liar himself.
Сам человек будет страдать. То есть те люди, которые врут, есть такое понятие.
Think of a patient at the late stage of cancer who's not told the truth.
Слышали, нет, что кто-то из этих сказал, из правителей, то ли в Америке, то ли в Англии, но такая вот концепция как бы существует. Действительно так, что чем сильнее
Doctors want to prolong his suffering by attempts to treat the disease. I do exaggerate, but more or less it's like that.
Примитивный пример, значит, у человека рак, да? То есть он уже живет, у него уже там последняя стадия, 4-я стадия, уже все. А ему не хотят говорить.
It's nothing else but procrastination to cause even more agony and a longer medicine intake. The truth is bitter, but doesn't distort the actuality.
Больше будет страдать или дольше будет сидеть на таблетках. Иногда правда, она, может быть, будет неприятная.
Some may believe in a pious fraud. What matters within this concept is who lies and whom you lie to. It might be acceptable at times, but still, think twice.
Но если на таких примитивных условиях, то лучше подумать, стоит ли это делать. Воровство.
Third Yama is non-stealing. Experience makes it clear that stealing or taking others' belongings are not good. It's like fast money. Fast came, fast left. Any fast money-related stuff can't be of any good. If we consider stealing from the energetic perspective, it has some definite consequences. Here is an example. One guy loses something according to his karma. Another guy runs into it and keeps it. Let's assume he can give the thing back, but he doesn't do it. Energy-wise, the scene is following. Suffering of the first guy passed on another one. And one day the suffering will reveal itself. You see the logic? If a valued object is concerned with suffering, once it gets shifted to another owner, it carries alone the energy of suffering. If the clothes of others contains alien energy, why do you need to come in contact with it? There are many beliefs and superstitions based on absurd logic, especially when it comes to weddings and brides and grooms. Anything is connected with the energy of the owner. If the owner died and his body was buried and decomposed, what energy surrounds the thing? An energy of rotting. The body is belonging's connection stays active after death as well. It is a commonly used idea in black magic. A burial of a staff of a live person with a dead body. When the body decomposes, the energy of destruction surrounds the alive victim. Energy vibration varies from low to high. If you are into self-development, you are able to level up the vibration of anything you are in touch with. That automatically benefits the owner of the thing. That's a reverse law to a ritual of a staff burial we have just mentioned. Your development benefits those who gave you something. You transfer some positive energy. That's what yogis are into. I don't mean taking others' belongings, but keeping up a high level of personal energy to benefit those around them. The thing itself doesn't matter, but your lifestyle does. Washing the clothes is good, particularly in a running good water. It benefits your energy. Clothes are meant to protect you. According to even black magic, holes on your clothes provide an access to your body for subtle creatures. Thus, clothes do protect you. Moreover, around 150 years back in Russia, people wore protective clothes with charms. They still had information about subtle world, which can influence the person. Therefore, the clothes were protective. A proper charm is similar to mandala.
Нормальный оберег, он как мандала влияет на реальность вокруг. Соответственно, если у человека были определенные обережные вещи, то энергия негативно не могла к нему подступиться так просто. Дальше, накопительство.
Next Yama is non-possessiveness. Some people are hooked on material gaining.
Страдают накопительство. Это как в бизнесе, знаете.
As a rule, a first million is earned by all means.
Как получается.
Every next one is earned fairly. level of consciousness is located on one of some energetic levels of a being. The level of Manipura chakra makes people unable to leave some material goods behind. They feel good when they buy new stuff, and they always crave for more. One car cannot satisfy this guy. He feels really good only owning 3 cars that leads to energy leakage on Manipura level that gives pleasure.
Nikolai Gogol's character Pushkin from Dead Souls is an extreme example of possessiveness. He dragged any good to his place and never threw anything away. Greediness leads to some problems. Yogis say that any material things stay within the space of your vital energy and lives on the expanse of your energy. So you are obliged to nourish all your belongings. There is a movie on the topic, I just can't remember the title, but it tells that wealth consumes your vital energy to be kept, to be next to you. That's why there is such a recommendation in yoga. If you strive to understand yourself, get to know your energy, you'd better be away from possession and greediness. The more you possess, the more difficult keeping stop with you is. Distinction in human world is an illusion. There is a saying, money makes no happiness. A well-to-do man often finds himself miserable. Why so? I know one person, the owner of a big company. He complains that despite having all possible goods, there is no satisfaction and happiness in his life. There is no energy left to feel happiness in his case. All is gone to opposition and keeping up materials. Happiness, once considered, is nothing else but an energy waste. On the level of Muladhara chakra, happiness is felt when another being is hurted. An animal biting to death another animal goes into ecstasis. That's how we waste the energy of Muladhara chakra. Happiness on Swadhisthana chakra is related to sexual stimulation. Revealing energy this way causes happiness. Manipura level happiness happens when one manager cheats on another one. I use examples easy to understand. Possessing some material stuff makes feel good. Being close to beloved one feels nice to Anahata chakra. Waste of energy is not so extensive on this level, as people on Anahata are more humane and nice. Vishvudha chakra pleasures consists in opposition. A leader of one corporation beats his competitor, another corporation, and he's riding high for some time. Happiness on Ajna chakra comes with a project realization.
Человек испытывает какое-то сексуальное возбуждение очень сильное. Это считается выход энергии, и в этот момент человек испытывает счастье. Обычный человек. На уровне манипура чакры, когда один менеджер кинул другого менеджера, он испытывает счастье. Понятно? Я постараюсь максимально доходчиво объяснить, потому что у манипура чакры у них обладание каким-то ресурсом материальным.
Sahasrara chakra manifests differently from others.
С точки зрения, соответственно, анахата чакры, приятность — это лицезреть, например, любимого человека рядом.
Is reached when you manage to get over ordinary thinking.
То есть там нет такой траты энергии, поэтому люди, которые живут на уровне анахата, они более человечные и приятные.
And see another perspective of the reality.
Вишудха чакра — это удовольствие от противоборства, например, когда там глава какой-то корпорации побеждает другую корпорацию, и вот он сейчас на коне, и у него все хорошо, он чувствует это определенное наслаждение.
It happens
когда
when
человек
the
поборол
consciousness
кого-то,
is
грубо
shifted
говоря,
entirely.
уже, соответственно, более тонкие вещи. Что касается аджна-чакры, это, допустим, счастье от реализации какого-либо
For many
проекта.
years,
Вот, допустим,
I've
человек
been
делает
watching
какой-то
some
проект,
guys
вкладывает туда
who suffer from
ресурсы,
the
вдруг
desire for
проект,
possession.
все, он созрел, он проявился. Это вот счастье для аджна-чакры. Считается, что сахасрара чакра,
They
она
get
не в таком виде
consecrations
проявляет
and
счастье.
initiations
Сахасрара
every
чакра и
time
счастье — это когда
an opportunity offers.
человек, допустим, выходит за рамки обыденного мышления,
When some
когда он
lama
начинает
pays a visit,
смотреть на реальность
same
немножко
crowd
иначе.
shuffles from one
Это сложно
initiation
объяснить,
to
как можно
another,
иначе смотреть.
storing
Допустим, что
knowledge.
можно. И вот счастье через сахасрара чакру — это изменение работы сознания в глобальном масштабе.
As per
грубо
experience,
говоря.
piled
Опыт
up
показывает. У меня
knowledge
есть
is hard
как
to
бы знакомые, за
practice.
которыми наблюдаю уже много лет, которые страдают этой формой накопительства. Они получили кучу передач
Personal
от
practice
разных
and
лам.
knowledge
То
ought
есть
to be in
так и
balance.
получается, что приезжает какой-нибудь лама, примерно одна и та же тусовка по всем и ездит. И
Abstract
там же
thinking
вперед
doesn't help your development.
накапливает. Но, как показывает опыт, те знания, которые они накапливают, им очень сложно потом реализовать. Просто реально очень сложно.
Philosophers
Вот.
become similar to huge libraries with dead
Должен быть
knowledge.
определенный баланс между знаниями и личной практикой. Есть люди философы, и философы,
They
к
lack
сожалению, не
motivation to
способны
put
развить.
knowledge
То
in
есть они,
order.
как, знаете, библиотека с большим количеством мертвых знаний.
Imagine a computer with a random access memory.
Это если сравнивать пример с компьютером, когда, знаете, у человека, допустим,
But
большая
slow
оперативная
central
память,
processing
огромная
unit,
оперативная память,
unable to
но
process a
маленький
huge
процессор,
data
который не может
storage.
эту информацию просто обработать. И получается, залежи накапливаем, а реализации этих залежей все равно никакой нету. Поэтому нужно придерживаться определенной гармонии между теми
Gained
знаниями,
and
которые
assimilated
накопились,
knowledge
и
is to be in
И,
harmony.
соответственно, последнее, то, что
The last
рекомендуется,
yama
это
is
брахмачарья.
brahmacharya.
Брахмачарья
Rough
в
translation
грубом
of the
переводе на
word
русский
is
язык — это
sexual
воздержание
continence.
от
Some say
сексуальных
that
утех
brahmacharya means a
в
complete no to
каком-то объеме.
sex.
Причем
Some state it's
кто-то
a
в этой
partial
брахмачарье
no.
видит полный
It's a
отказ от
loose
сексуальных
concept.
взаимоотношений, кто-то
What's
частично,
your
кто-то
opinion on
наполовину, ну и
brahmacharya?
так далее. То есть это понятие
Why
тоже
an
такое
adept
довольно
of
широкое.
self-improvement is not recommended
Как вы
to
думаете,
be
почему
into
не
pleasures and
рекомендуется
body
тем людям, которые
satisfaction?
стали на путь самосовершенствования,
Some scriptures
активно
stand as
заниматься
point
утехами
that
своего тела
sex
через
fills you up
удовольствие
with energy.
телесное? Какие варианты?
I'd never met up with those texts until I
Есть
had
Писание, где говорится
come
наоборот,
across a
что
group of
секс —
people
это
concerned of the
наполнение
same.
энергией.
Their
Не
point of
встречались
view
никогда?
excludes yoga and
Я тоже не
asceticism,
встречался, пока не
but
столкнулся с
promotes
группой людей,
pleasures.
которые реально озабочены такими
Fine,
вопросами.
your answer
Они
is
говорят, да какая
energy
там йога,
waste.
какие
Any other
аскезы, что,
opinions?
наслаждаться надо.
The
Ну и так далее.
situation is
Хорошо,
like
ваше мнение я
murder
услышал.
or
Траты энергии,
violence,
какие
not
еще варианты?
violence. Any
Знаете,
fact
как с
can be
убийством.
interpreted differently.
Или с каким-либо
And any
причинением вреда,
situation
не
in
вреда.
your life
Любое событие, которое
can
будет
be
вокруг вас,
used
его
in
можно
various
по-разному
ways.
трактовать
If
и
you are
использовать.
capable of getting energy
Если
from
вы
sexual
можете себе
activity, try
позволить
it out.
от
But if you are
времяпрепровождения
not,
сексуальных
you
получить
lose a
определенное
lot of
благо,
energy.
попробуйте. Если вы
Those
не
who
можете, вполне возможно, вы
manage
потратите энергию.
sexual energy
Как
are
показывает
only a
опыт,
few out of
люди, которые
thousands.
могут контролировать
That's
свою
my
сексуальную
statistics,
энергию, их
based on my
единицы из
watching
тысяч.
people around me.
Ну, это, по крайней мере, те
Just
люди,
a
с которыми
few
я
of
общался, с
those
которыми
who got over
пытались разговаривать на
Swadhisthana,
эту тему. Очень
and
мало
that
можно
energy
встретить
is
людей, которым
whose energy is
удалось
under
преодолеть
control.
садхистана-чакру
The
и контролировать
majority
эту энергию.
justifies
Очень мало.
themselves
В
by an
большинстве
appeal
своем люди
to
оправдывают свои
philosophers
желания
or
какой-либо
scriptures.
философией или
In
какими-либо
fact,
текстами.
it's
На самом
all
деле,
about
грубо говоря, это
indulgence
потакание
towards
своим страстям
passions
и
and
придание им
framing the
какого-то
weaknesses
ореола или
in a
там
nice
рюшечек
way.
каких-то. Но это но по
Unless
опыту
a man
человек,
can
который не
control his
научился
energy,
контролировать свою
he'd better
собственную энергию,
avoid
ему
its
лучше
waste.
воздержаться
Is it
от
clear?
ее траты.
Here is a classical program
То есть
of human life.
классическая форма
A disciple,
жизни
to be,
человека.
you are supposed to be a disciple up to
Лет так до 20,
20-25
наверное,
years old.
25 это ученичество,
That's when a
когда
human
человек не просто знания
not simply
накапливает и
gains
слышит,
some
а когда он
knowledge,
пытается
but
познать себя.
learns
То есть до тех
how
пор, пока
he
человек не
is,
разобрался со
who he
своими
is, and how to
энергиями
cope with
личными,
his energy.
смешивать с
Unless
какими-то
he
другими
manages
энергиями,
himself,
ну,
there is
можно,
no
просто
point
вряд ли
in
он их
mixing
будет
up
контролировать.
with someone else's
Понятно?
energy.
То
I
есть
mean,
сначала
it's
по
possible,
классике ты
but no
разбираешься
chance
с
to
собой, со
control
своими
that one.
энергиями,
Classical approach recommends to cope with your energy first. Then you get in touch with another energy, be it a female or a male energy, for some mutual transformation. Experience shows that he doesn't understand either himself nor his partner. Thus, vital energy of both is sucked out by larvas. Brahmacharya in 2 words. Energy control for self-development. Once you develop yourself, you can direct it to some good businesses within reasonable limits. It can be procreation or energy sublimation. I emphasize once again, the more passions one has, the faster he finds grounds for intensive sexual activity. Nowadays, sexual topic is actively promoted, as some intelligent people came up with this concept of 3S: sex, sport, screen, to make people waste their energy for entertainment and pleasures, so governors can rule weak and poor mob easily. Sex means obstruction of sex, starting with young children. You know what happens if an 8-year-old boy masturbates? He wouldn't be able to evolve, but will stay weak and poor. There is no development as long as Swadhisthana chakra loses energy. It's a real case. My friend in Portugal asked my advice on the one subject. Children. Some children over there makes virtual sex starting from 8 years old. Real sex at the age of 12 is norm. Parents don't understand that the situation is fraught with serious consequences. They take alternative point of view as nonsense and don't want to listen to a crazy Russian guy. This idea of promoting sex has already been realized there. Kids' realization, their energy via Swadhisthana chakra doesn't bring any good. Sex imposing in a frame of 3S program has successfully been installed for the past 100 years. Russia faces similar problems. Already, juvenile justice system visits kindergartens and spread the message. Second part of 3S concept is screen. Some illusions are inculcated in mind with the help of screen. Third part is sport, imposed on society. As you know, sport wastes your energy. I can prove that sportsmen are constantly miserable, as I worked in Olympic committee, and I saw professional sport as it is. The majority of sportsmen are handicapped by the age of 30. To my regret, they are quite unhappy. But the most important thing is audience energy waste on competitions. The vital energy could create, for instance. But entertainment turns to be harmful energy-wise. Brahmacharya, as used here, means a restraint of indecent things imposed to the society, as well as sticking to an adequate perception of the reality and applying your sexual energy wisely. Otherwise, you lose your sexual energy and will benefit the creatures who take it away from you. Sports developed qualities don't contribute in your preparation for the final and most important exam in your life. The exam I'm talking about is your death. Crossing the threshold to next reality does matter a lot. Imagine an airport that serves different flights. One heads to Namibia, another one to Western Siberia without humans for 300-500 kilometers around, and the third one heads to more or less civilized Switzerland with a peaceful state of affairs. So you have to choose Namibia, Western Siberia or Switzerland.
Это если он у
what
вас
I
есть. А
opt to.
представьте, что у вас и выбора нет.
That's
Вы
in
уже пришли
case
к
you have a
аэропорту,
choice.
на вас наручники, и вам
It might
говорят: парень,
happen you do not
ты
have a
спортом
choice at
занимался,
all.
это здорово, это
In that
поможет тебе в
case,
Западной
as soon
Сибири,
as you
вот
reach
туда ты и
airport,
попадешь. И
handcuffs are
там
put
будешь
on you.
общаться,
Man, you
и
went to
там будешь
sports? Great.
общаться с теми,
It
которые
will
тебя
help
поймут. Они
you,
будут
your
от
life
тебя или за
lessons
тобой
Siberian.
бегать. Вернее, как
That's
днем ты
you
за
are
ними
sent
гоняться,
to.
они за тобой ночью будут гоняться. Вот так вот вы будете жить.
Think how
Просто
sportive
поймите,
qualities can
как те
help you
качества,
after
которые
death.
вы улучшаете с
If you
помощью
ignore
спорта,
this
реально
kind of
помогут вам
reflection,
после смерти.
then our body is
Если об
meant
этом не
only
задумываться, то,
for
конечно,
being
тогда наша
stuffed
жизнь
with
она только для
food.
того, чтобы вот вы это
Then
тело
it will
кормили,
get
а
old
потом оно
and will
состарилось и
pass
умерло.
away.
Ну, в лучшем случае.
Best case scenario.
Это на самом деле очень серьезно.
But actually it's very serious. Here is an example from my life. I have at least two friends who achieved high dance.
Вот приведу вам пример.
One of them achieved the fourth dan, and now for some reason he practices yoga quite seriously. In my time, I was into martial arts and taught disciples. But when my disciple nearly went to prison, I realized that I was doing something wrong. Teaching people to beat up others conflicts with the reality. Martial arts are good for some people. One of the Buddha stories tells us about one of his previous lives, where he was a governor. His childhood friend was also a governor who captured Buddha and was about to eat him as he turned to be a man-eater for some time. And a following dialogue happened. A cannibal kshatri asked Buddha, "Why didn't you oppose me? Why did you yell to me? You are kshatri by nature, so you ought to follow your responsibilities." Kshatri means a warrior who follows certain laws and regulations. Buddha answered to that. Kshatri Dharma followers are also subject to be reborn in lower worlds. To my big regret. In our world, one can be the strongest, the smartest, the most skilled. But what's the outcome by the end of the day? As a rule, it's negative. So, martial arts are good things to practice. Moreover, I am 100% sure that it is advisable for any man to study martial arts for some time at a certain period of his life, but moderately, and stop it in the right time. Otherwise, injuries and problems may happen.
И потом вовремя оттуда стоит уйти, потому что потом начинаются уже большие травмы, большие проблемы. Для мальчика очень хороши боевые искусства.
Martial arts are good for boys. In case a boy has a destiny of the warrior, and you know that it's his way of development, then send him to martial arts. He'll grow up as a warrior. But if you, as a mother, understand that the warrior gets a negative karma, as well as you do as a participator, therefore it is better to raise up a Brahmin, a wise man, but not a warrior. Make every effort to raise up a wise man. In case your son chooses the path of warrior, then you are relieved from responsibility. Some parents raise up a hockey player, for example, or a belly dancer, and they do insist on their choice. Those parents create their bad karma, that's a fact. And it does happen quite often. As parents don't realize themselves, they force their kids to fulfill their dreams. It's a karma. Also, kids have a specific karma to be born in families like that. In future lives, these parents will be on the place of the kid. Quite possible the kid will be able to evolve somehow. Answering your question, you should define a cost of your kid, and you should define your likes and priorities. I can assure you that karma and cost can be changed within one lifetime, 100%. India keeps up a system of impossibility of cost change, even if you are a morally depraved person. But it's an absurd. Any beggar can become an adequate being. conditions of life don't matter. In nowadays India, once you are born as Shudra, you are humiliated. All your life cutting off all possibilities to develop and evolve. Look at your qualities. 70% of them your kid will inherit, so develop the best in your kid. If a girl doesn't know where her vital energy can be applied to, then she can waste it in sex. But there is no development. Scientifically proven that two types of hormones can be produced in body, either for mental development or for physical one. Simplifying things, a human can be either physically very strong with poor mentality,
or physically weak genius.
Same picture with sex. If sex hormones are stimulated to get pleasures, some limitations in other sphere pops up. That's why girls and boys are better be developed the same way to some point where their ways split. The most important in managing your own energy. Mixing up with other energies is useless until you can control yourself.
Но самое главное, нужно научиться контролировать свою энергию, то есть разобраться в своей энергии. Бессмысленно смешивать с другими энергиями, если ты с собой не разобрался. Аскетизм или тапас, который, соответственно, уже рекомендуется.
Niyamas. First recommendation is austerity or tapas. Tapas can be defined in different ways. It's a name of universal energy that allows a person to realize his intentions and helps him out in all possible ways. Be it energetic protection, for example. As long as there is tapas, bad things cannot happen to you. As soon as it's been used up, defenseless. What's the way to accumulate tapas?
Yoga,
austerity, endurance. Any restriction leads to energy accumulation. Indulgence wastes your energy. Thus, tapas stands for self-control within reasonable limits that leads to energy accumulation. Yoga plays a role of accumulated energy converter. To explain this role, I'll give you a clear but rough example. A produced fraction of oil is divided into components such as phosphates, fertilizers, polymers, plastic, cosmetics, gasoline, diesel, etc. All the variety comes from the same oil fraction. Oil is a rough example of energy, nature, and only energy is a source for many derivatives. What comes out of energy is up to your qualification and a plant that processes the energy. If that's yoga, then your energy transforms into tapas. If it's pleasures, your energy is squandered away. Hence, what you do with your vital energy is up to you. But in fact, it is determined by your karma. Are you with me? So the boy from Portugal we've spoken about masturbates at the age of 8. Why he felt under influence of negative information? That's a karmic payback. because he had contributed to someone's depravity in the past. And now he experiences same things he used to cause. As I see this law, it's harsh, but very just. Still, some may disagree with me, believing in pleasures as a meaning of life.
Они скажут, что удовлетворение страстей – это самая главная цель жизни человека. Хорошо, пойдем дальше тогда. То, что рекомендуют, опять-таки, в йоге, то есть то, это нияма.
Second niyama is contentment of circumstances you are in.
Тем, что вы имеете на данном этапе. Если вы ставите перед собой очередные цели, к которым нужно стремиться, вы не сможете заниматься йогой, потому что ваша жизненная энергия все дальше и дальше будет уходить от вас. Потому что та реальность, допустим, у человека есть какое-то несбыточное желание. Давайте приведем пример, что человек может желать и что он не может получить. Пример какой-нибудь приведите.
Rich yachts and fancy apartments of celebrities are often covered by mass media to stimulate ordinary managers to work hard and strive for luxury goods.
Так вот пестрят эти новости тем, у кого какая яхта,
Managers that control big assets.
Да, чтобы менеджеры среднего
Or like donkeys, stimulated by a carrot they strive after, and thus they drag someone's cargo.
К сожалению, это да, это именно, как, знаете, есть осел, который тянет телегу.
But as a rule, those people are miserable.
Занимаются, вернее, контролируют большие активы, их можно сравнить со ослом, перед которым висят морковки.
Yacht may be not relevant for our audience. Let's shift to a big house with a swimming pool, a stable, a fertile wife and 16 children.
Какую-то яхту, но неважно, яхта это слишком для многих из наших слушателей или там зрителей. Мало кто захочет зрителей яхты. Давайте скажем, там большой дом, давайте сделаем там 12 на 12. 2 этажа,
A rare businessman can afford to quit his business and move to his house.
Жена, значит, плодовитая, там 16 детей, да, 16 сейчас.
Business tends to swallow up a human as it requires support all the time.
Ну и, соответственно, человек начинает стремиться, ну хотя бы, да, давайте попробуем подумать, как дом образуется. Для того, чтобы дом заработать,
One has to spend enormous amount of energy to see a house fulfilled. There is no space for yoga.
Кто из бизнесменов может себе позволить так вот, все, бизнес оставляю, ставлю там дом, начинаю жить. Есть такие.
As long as construction is on, the quantity of spent energy is defined by size of the house and demands.
Потому что его всегда нужно поддерживать в той или иной форме. Так вот, для того, чтобы этот дом
I know a well-to-do family from Ukraine who decided to live in the countryside, in a village community.
О какой йоге может быть речь, если человек строит себе дом? Правильно?
We keep in touch, and they complain that they have to work tirelessly without any energy left for yoga.
Можно. Только вопрос, каких объемов, сколько энергии у вас
I'll try to explain why it happens, though it's not that simple.
И сможете ли вы, когда вы будете работать на дом или о доме будете думать?
Being involved into material activity, you produce karma, as you are responsible for usage of your goods.
Знакомые ребята на Украине, правда?
If hairs are dull-witted, and they will misuse the things, the creator of the things, even being in other worlds, will reap the fruits of his fruits, will reap the fruits of his work.
12 часов в сутки тружусь, не
It is negative karma in this case.
Энергии, силы и так далее. Почему так? Как вы думаете,
The
почему?
reason lies in assisting someone to use his energy unwisely.
Не так просто объяснить, я вам попробую. Дело в том, что если человек что-то делает материальное,
I'll put it simpler.
то он
Here's a
получает не
house.
просто определенную карму от этого материального. Ведь важно еще,
Here is
что
a
этим домом
guy
будет потом
who's
пользоваться
erected the
после него.
house.
Если его наследники будут,
The
мягко говоря,
guy
недалекие,
has
и будут
put
этот дом
much
использовать
energy
не по
into the
назначению,
house.
то даже в другом мире, находясь, он будет получать карму.
He passes away as he grew old.
В этом мире не совсем корректно
But those who use the house after his death partly share their karma with the guy. If the house is used for good, the guy gets some goodness. If the house is a place of energy waste, quarrels and other common things, then the creator of the house gets some percentage of negative karma. So living within your means is highly recommended. Don't strive for something big. Our life is not limited to feelings we can experience and belongings we can possess. It's way beyond that. Our life is transmission. The size of the house you leave behind in this world post-mortem is irrelevant. But the outcome of the house usage means a lot for you in your future life. Indeed, it does. The more extensive your mission is, the clearer you see that a modest living, like a reasonable house, one horse only, if you need, etc., leads to a good future incarnation. Calculation of energy needed and received has to be estimated. I mentioned inheritance as his might be problematic. Fortune hands down to his. I give an example of a house, but any handed down resources influence the testator's future lives. Inheritance should be treated as a deposit, as vital energy gets invested in something. The way this something is used determines the future of the investor. If he has disposed of inheritance well, there won't be problems. How can we be sure that they will dispose of well? Just know they're adequate. Who knows what will come into their heads later on? Wait, it's your problem. If you entrusted the upbringing of your kids to educators, then teachers, then professors, along with mass media and social life, there is no chance for a good outcome. You have to bring up your kid yourself. Then you answer for him. Relying on educational system doesn't guarantee any results. Have you seen posters in Moscow these days? The poster says, "What a good child, so much like a nanny." It's about it. Parents prefer to pay educators instead of bringing up kids themselves. When you arrived to this planet, you weren't instructed on some laws, including the following: whatever you leave behind on the planet defines your future lives. It's an inconvenient truth, as you are to be slaves. Some unfavorable for you programs and paradigms have been imposed to serve those who misuse you. You were told lies. It was yesterday me and my son chatted on the same. Who rules the planet and why strange laws exist? We started off his questions about economic models, why they work that way. I give an example of a car that breaks up because car producers make profits if they sell cars often. Let's say every 3 years is a time to buy a new car. So we had a kind of discussion. And I tried to explain that there are different corporations that are financed by banks. The banks earn some interest. So the automobile corporations get into competition to sell the goods. Economically, it might bring up a fall in price.
but it doesn't meet the situation because producers prefer a built-in obsolescence. Heard of it? It's not yoga-related, but life philosophy-related. You might not know that a bulb you use at home is programmed to work up to 1,000 hours starting from 20s. The bulb produced after 20s could be in use for more than 100 years. But the decision to limit the lifetime was taken to provide plants with odors. The odors, infamous for lights burning out regularly. My Toyota lights have never been changed yet. When I had Audi, I changed them quite regularly. One might say it's a weak spot. That's what we discussed with my son. It couldn't understand why things happen this way. There is one theory that says that the planet is controlled by souls that are not humans, and things get done in a wrong way around. Planet is being destroyed, and it suits everyone.
То есть планета разрушается, всех это устраивает и по-прежнему продолжают дальше так жить.
My eldest son went to a usual school for 1 year. Never again. Alternative options are better, such as Waldorf schools, etc. Fees are around 20 times higher. Still, it's a better atmosphere vegetarian meals. According to my son, students from his school might eat meat once in a blue moon, but in a school, only veg is provided. Also, a sane, more adequate education is there in comparison with ordinary schools. Social environment is more sensible too. Look for a good school and you'll get it. But even these schools are not the best way to educate kids. Ideally, it should be a private school. It can be organized on your own even. Another form of education is home education, characterized by passing exams in ordinary school without attending classes. Many brilliant theater of Russia followers opt this alternative. Our neighbors from a nearby village do the same. The fourth niyama is self-learning. You shouldn't stick to one's achieved level. A man is advised to spare no effort to develop himself systematically. Without learning, stagnation commences. Set your mind on self-development, outside world learning through yourself, etc. But don't run after material benefits. Self-learning is all important. It helps form up an integrated personality that serves as a source of harmony for the environment and himself as well. The last but not least, Ishvara Pranidhana, which means a devotion of your energy, your positive deed to the welfare of others. It's a sharing of your best and most valuable. Devotion stands quite opposite to greediness and possessiveness, we have already discussed. By the end of life, once a human is mature and wise, he is recommended to share the best he has. Let's draw a parallel with the discussion we had about material inheritance and devotion. The dispose of material goods will leave behind once pass away, influences your future life.
Соответственно, то же самое, если вы будете что-то себе копить там в качестве энергии или знаний,
Accumulated
да, эта
energy,
энергия, конечно же,
knowledge,
будет влиять на то, как
do make an
вы
impact
будете
on
жить.
your
Но в
future,
абсолютном
but
смысле
sharing
это
is
уже
already the
как бы
highest
высшая
form of
йога.
yoga.
Смысл в том, что человек как
Considering
персона себя
oneself as an
воспринимает только
individual, a
находясь на уровне
personality,
развития детского
as I
сада.
am,
Когда вот эта
corresponds
персонализация, когда
with
я,
a low
личность,
level
моё,
of
мне,
development,
это примитивный уровень развития.
as any being is a
Потому что в
subtle
абсолютном
being.
смысле человек, он субстанция духовная и космическая,
Advancing in
говорят
self-learning,
апокрифой, наверное, но
one comes to
смысл в том, что на
conclusion
определенном этапе,
that we are
если человек
all
развивает свою
one.
духовность, он понимает, что он и другие люди —
Sharing
это
with
единое
others
целое.
means
И,
benefiting
соответственно,
yourself.
отдавая
It may
лучшее
sound banal,
другим,
but I
таким
cannot come with a
образом,
bad
на самом деле,
explanation.
но я не хочу просто говорить примитивные
Probably
слова,
I can
то, что
put it
когда отдал
this way.
другому, это отдал самому себе,
According to the
но
energy
привести какой-то
conservation
такой
law, what you give
простое,
away
доходчивое
comes
объяснение
back to
тоже
you.
пока вот не получается. Наверное, можно сказать так, что та жизненная энергия, которую ты
Thus,
можешь
try to
отдать
share
в
all your
этом мире,
knowledge,
по
energy,
закону сохранения
and all
энергии,
that
чем больше
good
ты
you have with
отдаешь, тем больше
others.
тебе возвращается.
It never gets lost.
Поэтому знание, энергия, все самое лучшее, что у вас накапливается, постарайтесь делиться. Это невозможно потерять.
Greedy egoists
Люди
might
корыстные, люди
interpret my
эгоистичные,
lecture
они,
as an
конечно, слушают мою
idealism,
лекцию или
but
то, что
still
мы
it's
сейчас
a
с вами
fact.
обсуждаем, и скажут, да, это
Oppression of the
идеализм,
weak by mighty
с их
fits
точки зрения,
perfectly
их
their world
реальности, где
perception.
слабый
Appropriation,
пожирает сильного,
humiliation
это
are
норма.
taken as
То есть
standards,
кого-то
and
унизить
I'm
или у
taken
кого-то
as an
забрать то,
idealist
что
full of
хочется
illusions.
присвоить, это норма жизни. Для
Predatory
них я
way of
идеалист, который
thinking
говорит о
is
каких-то
not
аморфных
compatible
и
with karma
идеалистических
and
вещах. Но
reincarnation
просто те люди, которые
concepts.
живут как хищники, а это сознание хищников, когда сильный
Those
забирает
people
просто,
wouldn't understand my
они
message,
не рассматривают вообще
as
понятие
our
закона кармы и
paradigms are
реинкарнации. Они думают,
contrary.
что они живут одной
May
жизнью,
they
и вот
gain
после
some
них потом.
experience in this life.
Но это, очевидно, лекция не для них. То есть, к
There
сожалению,
is one
это разные
saying,
совершенно парадигмы, и
money down
пусть
the
они накапливают
drain,
свой опыт.
which can be
Это уже
understood differently.
есть
In this
такое
context,
высказывание,
vital energy a yogi
форм,
receives
знаете,
makes a
по-разному,
demonic
конечно, его
personality out of
интерпретируют, но в этом
him
смысле та жизненная
unless he
энергия, которую
follows the
йог будет
recommendations
получать, она
of
будет делать из
morality.
него демоническую личность, если он без нравственных основ двигается.
Roughly speaking,
Ну, грубо
energy
говоря, то есть
gained by
энергия,
yoga
которую он сможет с помощью йоги,
doesn't benefit him, moreover it harms him.
не в пользу будет уходить, а во вред. Если посмотреть былые писания,
Yoga-related
которые
ancient
сохранились до наших дней,
scriptures give examples of
что-то
yoga
говорится о йоге,
practice
о
resulted
саморазвитии,
in demonism.
там есть
For
примеры,
instance,
где люди становились демонами. благодаря
Ravana,
йоге.
or many others.
Равана, опять-таки, да не только Равана.
Ravana was totally into
У Раваны
pleasures
была другая
and couldn't
идея,
miss
совсем
a
другая
single
культура.
woman.
Он максимально
And that
наслаждался, то есть он
behavior
не мог пропустить,
resulted
например, ни одной
pitifully.
улыбки. То есть он был,
But Ravana
как
is
это
not the
сказать,
only example. You can find
женозависимый.
way more of
Ну,
them
это
in
много всяких
Mahabharata.
дел, которые,
Cutting it short,
наверное, не самые
there are
лучшие.
cases
И
that
не
show us
только Равана, поверьте.
yoga
То же самое в
has
Махабхарате,
adverse
там йоги,
effects on
точнее,
unprepared
давайте,
mind.
в общем, есть прецеденты,
That's
где
why there are
говорится,
recommendations
что
to be a
йога
moral
может
being.
иметь побочные эффекты для неразвитого сознания. Как бы.
In other words, live in good consciousness and in harmony with the nature. In that cases, there are chances to practice yoga and avoid adverse effects. As a rule, people with ambitious don't succeed in yoga. Or better say they might succeed, but it's a waste of their life for short-term and unwise things. That's how I see it.